Hey there, Fit Fam, how is it going? Coach Paul, you know what it is. Another Trainer Tip Tuesday, right guys? So for today's topic, let's talk about some dumbbell deadlifts, okay? Now, dumbbell deadlifts, very similar to our hinge in action, because there is a hinge in there, all right? If you think about that 1.5 stance that we talked about before with those kettlebells, we've talked about some kettlebell swings, you know, and all that does incorporate that hinging action, which essentially is the first thing that takes place when you start to execute the deadlift, all right, fam? So a couple of things that we want to keep in mind with that deadlift there. You want to make sure that the alignment with the feet, those will be proper. Make sure that core is nice and braced. We want to make sure that we are using our total body, preferably more of our legs and less of our back to prevent any lower back injuries through our dumbbell deadlifts. Now, to go on to the topic, when you're grabbing those dumbbells, remember, always safely squat down to pick those bad boys up. Now, the bilateral stance always going to be the shoulder width apart. I will show from the front view, then take it to the side so you can see the movement pattern. So we're bilateral stance, right? Now, I had a question before. Someone asked me, hey, coach, does it matter where my hands are at? If my palms are facing this way, or do I have them in the front, or do I keep them on the side of my hips here? You know, the whole goal to this and the key is you can have the hands slightly in front of the thighs there. You can have them right in front. You can have them by the side because, again, the hinge is the one thing that matters the most. Now, as you start the hinge at the hips there, think about that cue. You hear Queen Bee say it all the time, and you know what? It holds true and it works. Pretend you're closing that door with your butt, right? So as you hinge at the hips here, I'm gonna put my hands right there in front of my thighs. That's where I like to keep my hands at because it kind of sets me up for a barbell. Now, as you start to hinge at these hips, you gotta make sure at this point, I'm gonna pause at this motion right here. Take it to the side, and I want you to see and pay attention to the upper body here. And you see how my shoulders are rolled back and my lats are actually engaged at this position. Even as I lower my dumbbells down and trace them along my shins, you're halfway down there. Now I'm going to pretend as if I'm sitting down in that chair behind me and I'm pushing straight down to that floor to stand it up. Now the reason why I said, if you notice my lats are engaged there, when you set up on that deadlift from that bottom position, when you are pulling up, now you have to think about your arms. There are only hooks to hold this weight, okay? Think about the levy system, right? You got something on one end, it goes up and then it's heavy enough, right? This is how you get the rope going. Now, same thing through our deadlifting with that levy system. That backside, we're reeling it in. Wow, these hands are staying nice and stagnant, AKA those hooks, right? So what I mean by that engagement of that lat, what I mean is, so right here, I'm gonna show you how exactly to do this. So my shoulder's hanging nice and loose, right? Now I'm gonna roll that shoulder back and I'm thinking about putting that shoulder blade into my armpit. What that does is, again, engages the lats right there. That makes my arms as hooks. There's no tension in that back at all because the upper back is braced. Again, as you hinge at the hips there, push the booty back towards the back of that room there. Then you're gonna drive those hips forward while simultaneously thinking about driving those feet straight down into the floor, all right? And important with that deadlift, okay? If you don't have the lower back issues, no worries, okay? The variation we have here always gonna be that hinge that we say. You will commonly hear it to be called the Romanian deadlift. So again, as you hinge at the hips there, you have this more slight straight leg there, just below the knees where you feel the hamstrings, those glutes engaged, and driving straight down to that floor again to pop up nice and tall with those shoulders engaged there, and no overarch or lean back like so. That adds too much pressure in that lower lumbar. So we want to make sure that when we are performing these deadlifts, that we're very mindful about using our legs there. Again, it's a total body movement here. It is kind of like the squat, the king of all exercises there, because it does give you the most bang for your buck when you execute this properly. You're moving up heavy on that weight, taxes your body. I mean, it just has so many great benefits, okay? You kind of go back through our motions there, okay? Without any weight now. Now, as you set up, okay, I told you I'll show you from that side view. Now, bilateral stance, I'm thinking about digging my feet down into that floor. Now, let's talk about these hips. All right, we don't have no overarching here in that lower back like so. Always make sure that we're rolled in to You feel the upper glutes, okay, the very top. That should engage right away when you tuck in those hips. If you don't feel your butt kind of tighten up right here in this position, you are not tucked, okay? Bring those hips forward. Now again, you're just gonna squat down to pick up those weights there. You're gonna find that hand position, whether you want them by the side, you want them slightly in the front, or all the way in the front. Regardless though, think about it. I'm gonna engage my lats, I'm gonna roll them back here. Now, hinge it at the hips. Think about it, think about that squat. We know you say you tap your butt, but push the butt back now to tap the chair and then drive straight down to that floor, using those legs while keeping that core nice and tight. Now, one more common thing or common mistake we see is this number, the head looking up like so. That's going to cause neck issues. That actually, to be honest, yeah, to be honest, that actually hurt. Just showing you how not to do it, all right? It's kind of a common thing for those who are former athletes, you played sports in high school. They always tell you focus on something on top of that ceiling. Don't do it. It's a recipe for disaster. As you just saw me right now, take a moment. You can pinch your neck muscles there, okay? So you always want to make sure I've talked about it before. Keep this head in a neutral position. It will follow those shoulders as you hinge, as you lower, and as you raise those, or actually the dumbbells, right? So hinge to the hips there, head to that neutral position, and then trace it, all right? Again, all this really does is emphasize the safety on that neck and not pulling or pinching anything. So again, to go through this checklist, all right? We are bilateral stance, rolling those shoulders back, hips are tucked in. I'm gonna brace my core and then push it back, and exhale at that top. Always I wanna make sure you breathe in, brace that core, and then get that exhale at that top there, all right, ladies and gents there. Hope that kind of helps out with that deadlift cues, all right? Hips back, imaginary chair, engage those lats, draw those shoulders back while that chest is up, and you press straight down to that floor to stand up nice and tall. All right, fam. Hope that helps out with that deadlift there. Let me know what you think. See how that helps you out. Have a great day, guys.